Well, hello, y'all, and welcome back for another run of the Booty Radio F1 team in Season 2. We are headed to round 7 of the season, which is Imola, a track that has typically been not quite so friendly to me. We do have dry qualifying and race, which has been kind of rare to start this season off. So let's get the engine components changed. We'll talk a little bit about the last race. So obviously power unit. We took a grid penalty last time out in Miami in order to just get a whole new set of engine components in the pool, which I believe will get us to the end of the season. Those engine components should suffice. As far as where we're at in the season, 19 points, P9 overall, in a collection of 3 Frenchmen. Victor Martins, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly all together. And we have jumped up to P5 in the Constructors' Championship. Last race out didn't help us all that much, though. Miami was not ideal. I think, what sprint results, does it actually show the sprint results? Not really. Sort of. Joshua has had a couple of points paying positions, but just missed out on the points. Did both of us last time, so looking to get back into those points paying positions. But enough waffling on, let's get into qualifying.
Welcome along everybody to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
Here we are out on the lovely Italian circuit of Imola, an old school style track, so qualifying is going to be extra important. And it is a bit of a tricky circuit that has not been my forte, but let's see what we can do in qualifying. A pretty long straight to open it up, and then the tricky Tamburello chicane for the first real complex of corners. Looking for that brake marker right around the outside, a little wide on the apex of the first corner, but for a banker lap, we should be fine. Now into Variante Villeneuve, which is always tricky because it's slower in the second portion. Then you've got Tosa, bit of camber and banking. The back end likes to try and get away from you if you're not careful. Cresting over the top of the hill, this quick double left-hander, Piratella, get the car pitched in, keep it right inside the track limits. Just a little bit of scrubbing there. Now Aqua Minerale, fast right-hander to enter, then hard on the brakes at the bottom of the hill. Head up this little area, and now we're up to the Variante Alta, the highest point on the circuit. Tricky chicane, not a lot of runoff to work with. A little slow on the exit as we had to make sure keep ourselves within track limits, and then a final 2 corners. Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. We've got our teammate right in front of us, which is going to give us a little dirty air and a little bit of a slipstream as we make our final run to the line. DRS open. 14.8 is not a bad start. Isaac Hadjar put up a 14.4. I'm sure we'll see the top teams go down into the 13s and maybe even high 12s, because that's just the way the field is split right now. Here we are on our regular run plan. We've fallen towards the back of the grid, sitting in provisional P20 on a set of used tires, but there's definitely time out there on the track. It's going to be all about dialing that in on this lap, so when we get our final run on the fresh tires and the track is all evolved in, we can turn the best time possible. But it all starts with the first complex of corners. And we've actually hit the brakes a little early. It's improved our entry, but I think that's going to harm our exit a little bit, which it indeed did. Carry a little more speed through Villeneuve there. And let's see if we can get a good run off of Tosa. We're running just about a 10th different from our previous lap time. And we've run out just wide there, so getting an idea of where the limits are of Piratella there, and the answer is, well, right about there. All right, here we go. Last chance in qualifying. We're going to need a big lap. Otherwise, this is going to be a very tough weekend. Probably going to need to find around a second just to even match Joshua's lap time. So let's get after it. Make sure we get a valid one in here as well. Okay, a couple tenths down there to start. Ooh, very deep there. That's going to cost us quite a bit of time through Variante Villeneuve, and then a deep run through Tosa, meaning we've lost a lot of the time we gained through the opening of the lap. We're going to find about a half second, but that's not enough to really move us too far up the track, if anywhere. 19th. So it's going to be a tough Grand Prix day starting this far back.
Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry. We'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
Joshua into the 13s on a 13.8. Solid qualifying performance from him there. We were, what is that? 6/10 off? No, yeah. 6/10 off of him, so over a half second. Not where we want to be, but well, let's see what happens. Not a lot of overtaking opportunity and not a lot of strategy opportunity because of how long the pit lane is here.
Welcome to Imola, the spiritual home of Ferrari. But you don't need me to tell you that. Just look at the red-clad Tifosi in the grandstands. They're ready. Are you ready? For the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Senna, Oscar Piastri, and Antonelli, Norris, Sainz, Tsunoda, Pierce, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Esteban Ocon, and Hadjar, Stroll, Albon, Jack Doohan, and Liam Lawson, Martins, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, and Ollie Behrman rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, we might be looking at a tough afternoon today, but I believe in you. Give it your best shot, take care at the race start, and then let's get those elbows out and try and move forward.
I think our best opportunity is going to be to just try and undercut significantly. So we'll go a couple laps early, and then we'll just have to kind of hang on to the hard tires at the end. Fuel level is going to be a 53.6. And yeah, we'll just kind of have to see what happens. Yeah, two stop. The pit lane's just too long. You lose too much time to really do anything there. So I think the undercut's going to be the move. So here we go. It's a fairly long run down to turn 1. Let's see if we can get a good start. Kind of boxed in. We got a decent run off the line, but kind of stuck in this pack. Leave the space, try and go around the outside, making some decent moves to start there. Not unhappy. You definitely got a little hairy on the way into Variante Villeneuve there. But the goal here is just use whatever these medium tires have and use them quick. After we make the tire swap, we go for a couple hard laps for the undercut. And then once everything kind of shakes out, we go into tire preservation mode to make sure that we have enough at the end of the race. Now, this is going to be the tricky part because of Imola and the straight line speed that the AI gets around here. Another thing we're going to have to keep an eye out for around here is track limits. This is a circuit where we can get into track limits trouble if we're not careful. Looks like Joshua's doing a decent job. He's kind of at the front of that pack though, which means he's going to be swallowed up on DRS, which is indeed what looks like happened. Not quite close enough to make that lunge up the inside of Tosa. You think about it, but the window isn't quite there. Maybe if we can carry a little more speed into there next time by. We are kind of losing touch with the last few points paying positions. There's a little bit of a gap forming behind this Haas. So let's see if we can't. Ooh, a little late on the brakes there. Just about got it slowed down. It's a real dirty air situations making us understeer. Gonna try and go on the attack on Hajar here. Do we have the momentum? And indeed we do. Around the outside, on the brakes. Used a lot of battery there. Let's make sure we stick with these cars now. We can start working our way through maybe one by one. We are going to need to recharge the battery a bit. Some battery, just make sure we close up. And oh, DRS failure. Luckily failed closed, which is not a big of an issue, but that is going to make keeping up with these guys in the straight much harder down the pit straight. So we're going to need to get real deep in the slipstream as we nearly go into the back of Albin there. Can make it very difficult to try and conserve battery at the same time, because we're essentially going to have to push the battery, hope we have enough slipstream, and we're still losing ground to them down the pit straight. Let's see if we can get close to Alex here, force a move on him down into Tamburello. Take the outside. That seems to be kind of the high ground for the attack. And indeed, a move is done. Use a lot of battery to do it, but now we're clear. We're looking at the back of a different car. Ooh, big slide there. Rear tires are starting to express their displeasure. Only a couple of laps away from pit window, though. Rear tires are really starting to let go on me. Had to use a lot of battery on over the course of the lap just because of the tire wear. Question is Alex close enough to re-attack us? Which he might be, because we really don't have the battery to defend with. Let's hold the racing line. Try and do a lap and save some battery here. If we can have a nice battery preservation lap and still be in attacking range of Ocon ahead, that would be kind of perfect. We might be able to go for it. Hitting this lap. Up around the outside of Ocon. And up into P12. 6 seconds the margin to the cars ahead. So the idea here is preserve as much battery as I can on this in lap. We're going to drop it into none deployment. And in we go. And now it is going to be, see if we can undercut time. Need a good stop from the team. Slow stop. 4.6. And that is not going to help the undercut attempt. That's essentially 2 extra seconds I'm losing. Not what we wanted to see. But just put the battery in hot lap mode and just start hustling. At this point, the hope is that we just even come out in the same position we were, because that's that extra 2 seconds is almost is going to be like an entire lap's worth of undercut thrown away. Joshua's in the pit lane.
And that's Joshua in the pits. Joshua in the pits now.
I'm thinking Stroll's got to be on a 2-stop based on how early he came in. A little sloppy through Aqua Minerale there. More cars working through the pit lane in the leaders group. We're growing the gap to Lawson behind, which is good. Ugh. Well, not like that. We got Hulkenberg and Ocon, who are also working their way out of the pit lane. So we've managed to clear them both as well. We got both the Aston Martins in front. And Stroll, we've managed to reel in a fair bit. Driver in front.
Stroll
Does
ahead.
he have an issue?
Gap to the car in front. 3.3 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Time last lap, 1:18.7. We think they've got one more stop. 1.2 seconds advantage per lap. Keep going.
1.2, that's probably just tire advantage. Alright, we've been stalking Lance for a few laps. Time to get the move done. If we're lucky, he'll come into the pits this lap, and we'll get just free DRS and not have to make a move on him, which is indeed what is happening. So, there we go. Now conserve the rest of that battery. We're up past Sainz. Alonso and Gasly are the next ones for points. Alonso, I think, was on a 2-stop maybe. Driver in front.
Alonso ahead, and the time last lap, 1:18.3. Okay, gap ahead, 8.3 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Their tyres are 6 laps old. All right, you're falling back by 1/10 a lap.
Nope, they're going to the end, and I would estimate that Gasly is as well. So this might be where we finish this race. Here we are getting ready to start the final lap of the race. We've managed to manage the gap to the car behind. That's actually just grown significantly in the last lap because, as you can see on the track map, there's a couple of orange dots getting involved. So the question becomes, can we get to the end without being lapped? Yes, because they're done, actually, because they won't pass me. But we are going to finish on the lead lap. We weren't able to make any ground on the cars ahead for the points-paying positions. But we drove a pretty solid race from P19 up to P12, so no big complaints there. Looks like Joshua might sneak his way into the points. We've just about kept the rear tires under control and alive. They're feeling pretty slippery right now, actually. Although we don't have to push at all because the cars behind us finished the lap down, meaning we can just drive our way here. We are locked in for this P12 finish. Again, qualifying hurt us early on. I think if we had started even like P15 and run the same strategy, we would have been in for a shot at the points. Especially being part of that group that got dropped off the back of the battle with Joshua and them very early on. Meant that there wasn't a whole lot to do. So we're just kind of taking it across the line very leisurely for a finish outside of the points today.
Right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
What a day and what a classy win for your classic driver, Ayrton Senna.
Well, it all came good in the end for them, but it wasn't an easy start. Not the most straightforward of days, but I think it shows great strength in an athlete as a driver when you can overcome a day like this and walk away still with a victory.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm very happy to see them there on that top step of the podium. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out. Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Yeah, pace just wasn't there for us today. I mean, 17.4 was our best lap and a 16.0, so almost 1.5 seconds off of Joshua's best lap. Not exactly what we're hoping for. Like I said, Imola's always a track I've struggled on. It's not been my favorite, and the AI is just super strong around Imola too. That does move Joshua up above Fernando in the Drivers' Championship. How does that do for us in the Constructors? On to 23 points, so starting to grow a teeny bit of a gap to the cars behind. Okay, what do we got here? Yes, we'll attend a summit because we've got resource points out the keister. Still no honor training points. Getting close to winning that rivalry against Williams. We need to get to 30 points overall, but that is, as you've seen, rather slow going. No time for pretty much anything except for some fan outreach. Let's take a look at the facility improvements for each. Nothing's going to finish quite in time there. We do have the ability for the next phase 2 corporate development. And, yep, since that one's finished. Sponsor negotiation support staff level 3. Oh, are we going up a phase, maybe? We did unlock phase 3. Awesome. So that'll be pretty nice. We're in phase 3 for the corporate. Phase 2 still for personnel, so we've got some ground to go. And we're in phase 3 for engineering. You're going to need some bigger results to get that fan sentiment up, but really at this stage it's going to be waiting on some engineering finishes. We have Monaco coming up next, which is always a tricky track.
Hey, Chief. We have a part or two ready for development because they finished research. Let's get that in motion, shall we? Head to engineering for more info.
Do we, though? Yeah, no, nothing to develop. Liar. But thank you all for joining me on this one. As always, a fun time. But I'll catch you guys next time for Monaco. Peace.